Live in 3, 2, go.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Huddle. I am your host, Dr. Monikah Ogando, and I am so delighted that I am here with you today. We are halfway through December, and in a couple of weeks, we are going to be welcoming in January. So we're going to get settled in. We're going to be wrapping up the year. We're going to be talking about some of those things. But more importantly, the foundation of it, the foundation of how we connect, the foundation of how we spend the holidays. Today, we're talking about how do you express love or seek connection? And, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. Welcome to the Daily Huddle. Good morning, everybody. Welcome again to the Daily Huddle. The days are getting shorter and shorter, and the nights are getting longer and longer to culminate with the winter solstice that's coming up in about a week. The winter solstice is when the sun is at its lowest on the horizon. And they say that the sun goes hiding, and it stays at that low angle for about 3 days. And then it starts coming up again, or dare I say it, resurrecting. And from December 21st to December 24th, that is the time when the sun is at its lowest. And when it starts to rise again, it's December 25th. And that is when the sun is born. Yeah, that's where they got it from. So before we start getting into our conversation today about how do you express love and connection, especially relevant during these holidays, I want to get us grounded into today's moment. So I am looking around and I'm going to ask Stacy, where are you today and what are you thankful for?
Good morning, Daily Huddle family. Where am I? I am at my very messy work desk. And I am thankful for the opportunity to clean this work desk because my semester is drawing to its end, and I am not necessarily looking forward to its resurrection this year. So it will resurrect next year. So I'm going to spend some time today cleaning my very messy desk, and that's what I am grateful for.
Okay, awesome. Andrea, where are you and who are you going to hug today?
I am right here, the only place I can be. And I've been in this trend of hugging myself. Right now, I'm going to start sharing hugs, and I'm going to hug friends. I'm going to hug some friends that I'm going to see today. That's what I'm going to do.
Awesome. I love it. I have a very, did we talk about traditions already yet? We did talk about winter traditions at the beginning of the month. And one of my winter traditions is to clear, to declutter, to be bare minimalist, which is why I'm not wearing any makeup today. And part of that is how I show love to myself, to align myself with the cycles of nature is one of the ways in which I show care for myself and for my family. Because I don't know if you noticed. Tell me if you've noticed this. Put a 1 in the chat if you've noticed this, and put a 2 in the chat if you have not noticed this. Have you noticed that when nature goes one way, society goes another? Like, for example, when nature goes bare and the tree leaves are falling, that's where we get the word the fall from. and out there it's barren and it's just, you're supposed to be quiet and indoors and hibernating and everything else. Those are the busiest days of the year. Everybody's got some kind of holiday party. Everybody's got some kind of dinner. Everybody's got some kind of end of year celebration. Everybody's got some kind of get together. Oh, wait, it's Halloween. No, wait, it's Thanksgiving. No, wait, it's this holiday or that holiday or Christmas or Hanukkah or blah, 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 New Year's. And before you know it, you like need a vacation from the vacation. And so I don't know, I thought I was the only one. But one of the ways that that we share love with one another is to honor those peaks and valleys of energy in nature. So how do we express love and connection with one another now, or seek connection? Now, I have to admit that one of the reasons why I decided to ask this question in this moment was because I thought about the book, The 5 Love Languages. Is anybody familiar? Put a 1 in the chat if you're familiar with The 5 Love Languages, or give me a hands up or a thumbs up if you, okay, good. So to refresh your memory, if you don't know, the 5 love languages are quality time, physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, and what's the next one that I'm thinking about? What's the next one I'm missing? There's 5 of them. Acts of service, physical touch, quality time, words of affirmation.
Yes.
And gifts. Of course, I'm forgetting gifts. It's my least favorite one. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Oh my goodness. And my husband would have my head because it's his favorite. Hence my conundrum. Do you understand? So if you pick one of those words of affirmation, like you like to be complimented, verbally acknowledged for something that you did or some characteristic that you have or that you are, etc. Gifts, obvious, right? Like a little knickknack here and there, or a big grandiose gesture. Acts of service, something really simple like that I have never in the history of my marriage ever have had to worry about any car repair or any trash taking it out or whatever. That's an act of service to me, and I'm so deeply appreciative, and it doesn't go unnoticed. Things like that, right? Quality time is, as the phrase indicates, is spending time with someone, being present in their presence is quality time. And then physical touch, it could really just be affection. Like, I'm a very touchy-feely person. I actually have to deliberately not touch you when I'm in your presence. I want to hug you. I want to touch your hand when I'm talking to you for emphasis, right? Or our knees touch when we're sitting across from one another. That kind of touch. So it includes, of course, sexual touch or romantic touch, like kissing or even making love if you're in a love relationship or whatever. But physical touch can be just something as innocuous as just touching somebody's knees when you're talking, etc. Somebody who expresses themselves physically. So what's fascinating about this is that many times we express love or seek connection the way in which we want to receive it, not necessarily the way that it lands for the other person. Hence, we get ourselves into sometimes some kind of trouble or like mixed communication or mixed language, because what you intend to be a gesture of love that if you were receiving it, you would be amazed and loving and, oh my God, I can't believe she did this for me, or I can't believe he did this for me, etc. The other person may or may not. So for me, acts of service is like the primary winner takes all kind of thing. If you make my life easier, if there's an act of service, I'm very, 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 very thankful for that. It really registers. Gifts, not so much. My husband is completely opposite. You could be stretching yourself to the gills, doing things for him, ironing the uniforms and getting his lunch together and doing this and doing that and running that errand and blah, blah, blah. but you didn't get him a gift for his birthday? Who raised you? You know, that kind of thing. And so I want to know from you, where are you with the love and the seeking connection? Where do you go with that? Do you seek people out, or are people typically seeking you out? Do you have to field phone calls? Are you the solve it all in your family because they want acts of service from you or presence from you, etc.? I'm so curious. How do you express love and how do you seek connection? Tell me, opening it up for discussion. Who's got something?
I think for me, it's words of affirmation.
Ah, tell me how that works out for you. Give me an example.
Well, I come to you with an idea, you know, that I have, and all I want you to do is recognize that if you can, I would love it that you see at least possibility and in that idea, and that, you know, run with me. Let's develop that thought. Let's work on the possibility of it.
Mhm.
And I don't mind getting the little devil's advocate, you know, stuff to it, as long as, but as long as I can tell there's interest in it. And
Yeah.
you're bouncing that off because you're interested, not bouncing off because you just want to knock it down and you're not even really thinking about it.
Ah,
When you affirm what I'm thinking about, I like that.
okay, I like it. A little sapiosexual, are you? A little intellectual curiosity piece there. I love it. Okay.
Really? You got that? Okay.
I did get that. Because that's what I being able to offer to somebody an idea and then for them to be able to like kind of pick up the ball and run with it or play with it a little bit, bounce it back, volley it back to you, etc. You know, that's the intellectual curiosity of it, right? That it's like, oh, cool. It's very cool. Who else got something? Yes, Orel. You're muted, dear. Ah, there we go.
So for me, I was able to put them in order, right? Putting them in order for me, it's affirmation.
Yep. Wait, let me write this down.
And
This is good intel for our friendship. Okay, go ahead.
so, and it's not so much me hearing it, it's me saying it.
Mm.
And sometimes I can see what you're pointing to. Like I'm busy affirming and loving with my words, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
Right? Because different languages.
Yes.
So that's the first one to me. I love that one.
Okay.
The second one is touch.
Okay.
I'm a hugger, a kisser, a caresser, you know, that kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just discovering for myself that when that's not there for me, it's like there's a part of my life that's really important that is
That's
like
missing.
being starved.
Yeah.
Right? So the question I have is, in any relationship, when my needs or someone's needs are not being met, how do you create in that relationship your needs being met when that particular language isn't the language of the person you're dealing with?
Yes. Well, let me tell you something. This is something that I have had to walk myself through. Whoa, though I walk through the valley of mismatched love languages, I will fear no evil. Because I've had to have this conversation with, you know, romantic partners. I've had to have this conversation even with family members. Let me give you a story. As I just said, acts of service and physical touch are my two main love languages. And to be fair, my husband was born and raised in the projects of New York. He's lovely when it comes to acts of service. He'll do stuff for you, but just, you know, leave him alone for a second. Like all this touching, Lord have mercy, you know? And so I have walked around that mismatch, Sorrel, by kind of like putting his gift, his love language into my request. Let me give you an example of what I did a few anniversaries ago. I gave him I gave him a box of coupons because I know he likes gifts and I know that he's a very frugal man. I gave him a box of coupons and gift certificates. And the coupons were, like, for example, 1 hour of complete and total science when you come home from work. That's a gift. Or, you know, when your favorite team is on, you get all the snacks, you get all the silence, you get the man cave to yourself. Nobody's gonna bother you, because he's like the opposite of quality time. His idea of quality time is, let's be in the house, but let you be over there on the 3rd floor. Let me be in the basement so I can enjoy myself and have some peace and quiet. And so in terms of making the requests, to use their gift, or I keep saying their gift because that's his love language, but to use their love language to express yours. That's number one. Number two, to be playful with the request, because sometimes it sounds like a criticism, or it sounds like a never satisfied demand or something like that, right? So to be playful with the request is key, has been key for me. And then number three, it has been to acknowledge the difference and then seeking alternatives. That actually made it very present in my relationship, because when I said, listen, physical touch is very, 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 very important to me. And physical touch is not even on your radar. So how do you feel if I were to get my physical touch needs met somewhere else? What? Okay, now we need to sit down and get Oprah on the line, because but you see what I mean? Like, having those kinds of conversations allowed him to recognize this isn't just like, this is like important. This is like deal breaker, make it or break it kind of like thing for me. Value, request, right? Whereas for him, he had some deal breakers and some make it or break it requests that I was not listening to. So to be able to have those conversations and open that up is super important. And we have to be okay with how uncomfortable those conversations could be at any given time, particularly with the physical touch, because we get into conversations around requests. I mean, consent, appropriateness, depending on the relationship, et cetera. One of the things that I always admire and acknowledge and celebrate about my friendship with you and with Gio is we live in a society that over-sexualizes people, and especially in friendships of opposite sex, men being friends with women. It's very easy to just jump to, oh, that's what the attraction is. Oh, that's what the chemistry is. That's what, whatever. And I have never felt that kind of like weird vibe from either one of you, even though all three of us are super handsome people. But we respect that boundary, right? And it feels safe. It feels like you really see somebody's humanity and not just their sexuality and so forth. And so that's part of being able to make those kinds of requests, is to being able to see it for what it is and not conflate what one thing means for the other. So that's important, right? Having the conversation, man. So speaking of words of affirmation, right? Having the conversation is important.
Thank you, Dr. Ogando.
Say again?
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. That was kind of like a long answer, but I hope I got it. Who else has something? Oh, I know. Being handsome is so difficult. Who else has something?
I just want to thank you for talking about that, what you said a moment ago about certain love languages met somewhere else, like acts of service, for example, right?
Yes.
Acts of service, you get that met somewhere else. That's someone else. You hire someone to clean your house. You hire someone to fix the plumbing, your car, mow the lawn, etc. When you're an affectionate person, quality time person, getting that met somewhere else can be cheating.
I know.
Right. And I'm glad you said it, because it's not always received or understood, you know, how important that is when, you know, saying you got to get that from the person you're with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we don't really talk about that enough, you know, how important that is. So I think I appreciate you saying that. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. One of these days I'll go deeper into that story so you can see if I can tell you how we got out of it. Cece, you got something?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for the topic. My love language, I express top 3. First one is giving gifts. The second one is touch, and the third one is acts of kindness, or acts. So I do recognize that everybody has a different combination that they need, and now I'm endeavoring in having new relationships with new people, and I'm learning their way of showing love. And thanks for the topic, because it's something to talk about with the people in your life that you care about, what they really need. I remember somebody giving me all these gifts, like I was supposed to love them giving me gifts. And I was like, I'd rather have the quality time versus having gifts, because it's only stuff. The gift is in the person. And so that's the big thing for me, is that I get the chance or the opportunity to get to know the person that's inside the body, not the stuff around. And even though those are nice things, but getting to know them and who they are and the essence of who they are. And that's what I treasure, is the beauty that's within the person as a treasure. So I pass. Thank you.
Awesome. So what I hear you saying is that your number one love language to express your love is giving, is gifts. And the one to receive love is quality time. Would that be accurate?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
That's a good distinction, because a lot of times we have it as though the one that we give the most is the one that we where we shine, right? I started off the conversation by saying that we typically give what we want to receive. And the caveat to that is that it depends on the messaging that you received about receiving love when you were a child. So many people are so good at giving words of affirmation, for example, but can't accept a compliment to save their life. Never mind public acknowledgement or that kind of thing, right? Yeah, I forgot to mention that caveat. That's very, very important. So so it makes sense, for example, for me, that I grew up in a very performative household. The way you were loving is by doing love. So it makes sense that my primary love language would be acts of service. Do for me, right? Stan, you've got something?
Yeah, and and please don't take this in a not you, doctor, but Cece, don't take this in a confrontational kind of way, because I really don't mean it that way. I just found it very interesting that you mentioned. So it made me wonder whether Dr. Ogando was really correct when she was interpreting what your love languages really are, first and second, because you mentioned how this person gave you so much and they thought that love was in gifts, but you said that yours is gift giving. You wanted quality time, but yet you said your receiving of love is in gift giving. You follow what I'm saying? When the example used was, and it made me think about mine. And actually, the way it is, when I looked up the languages of love, I actually did that. It mentioned everyone that you said, but it mentioned receiving gifts.
Yes.
Receiving gifts, right? But I just found that interesting that the thing was, well, this person gave me all his gifts, and to me, that's not what it was about. I wanted the quality time.
Well, that's why I made the distinction. Yeah.
But then your number one thing would be that you want gifts.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
Yes. Yeah. And listen, if you start getting to know people, especially their 0 to 7 experience of their childhood, you'll begin to understand why there are certain things that they value, why they focus on certain things. For example, my husband grew up in the projects in New York, like I said. He hardly ever got gifts because it was survival time. You know, it was the Bronx in the 70s and the 80s. So now, you know, I look at it as hoarding. To him, he's being careful with his material possessions because when he was a child, he did not get a chance to do that because he was constantly running around from, you know, place to place, etc. So, and I'm not sharing anything that would break your confidentiality. This is something that we've talked about in public many times. But the conversation is about, for me, it's once you understand where somebody, they're 0 to 7, their childhood, some of that stuff makes sense. So which is why Stan and Cece, I made the conversation about the way we give or the way we seek connection sometimes is different than the way that it lands on us because of our 0 to 7 programming. So if you thought that if somebody in your childhood, for example, dismissed you by giving you gifts, then when you were younger, you'd be like, I mean, when you're older, you're like, I don't need your gifts. I want you, you know, so that would make sense. Rashida, you got something?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Monikah, thank you so much for really making those touching points. And when I say touching points, it's because in how I was brought up with my mom and my brothers and sisters and aunties and uncles, and that heap of love was just amazing. And there was no give. There was no give. There was no you give me, I receive. Nothing like that. Was that journey, that charismatic love, that hug me, come and kiss me. Listen, we have bedtime story, we have circles, have my grandparents telling those, we would call it Nancy stories. Those are the give of love that I pass on to my kids. And I give. And I say I give because I remember running a soup kitchen two soup kitchen in Brooklyn. And it was amazing to see that only a plate of food that you give, a warm plate of food that you give someone, and they giving you that thank you, is that fulfilling when you give that person something and the gratitude that they have towards you giving them that plate of food. It's so amazing. And the other thing is that one of the confrontation I had when COVID, the pandemic have hit, and you couldn't hug and you couldn't, I was so mad. When I say I was so mad, I was so mad. But the beauty is that I was not living in the city anymore. I was living in the country. So people used to come to me to get away from the city. And they said, oh, we cannot hug. I said, damn it, come, let me hug you. We are in the country now. You are crazy. You leave that in the city, you know, in PA. So definitely that hugging and that giving is what I really go for. Thank you so much for the topic. Really important.
I love that you brought that up. That's awesome. Oh, that's great. Giovanni, you got the last word. We're at the half hour mark.
Yes. Should have raised my hand before. I wanted to ask your thoughts on my experience of love. It's a little bit the possibility of love is somewhat when I think of 0 to 7 and afterwards, right? Puberty and all of that. And then my own personal growth, love is a bit, it's like a roller coaster.
I was just gonna say, are you gonna go Pat Benatar on me? Love is a battlefield.
I was gonna say more of a roller coaster. You know, it's like there's an aspect about love that it's constantly being shaped by the environment, by the chemical reactions, by the person I'm with, by the expectation, by doing the right thing, by what's not the right thing, by cleaning up the mess, it's like it's definitely not driven by emotion for me, I would say. I think it got stuck.
Okay.
No, sorry. I thought I got stuck. Everybody on you were not
Frozen?
moving. You were not moving, but everybody's on.
Got it.
Yeah, nobody's on camera. Anyway, so it's like love is a bit of it's an interesting for me at this point, and I'm sure it will change, but it's an interesting, critical, but unimportant, but important thing to consider on a regular basis. It's like, what I'm trying to say, for example, like there is undoubtedly, I have love for my daughter, undoubtedly, and it's very it's shaped very much by my commitment to her, by my commitment to her emotions, to her growth, to her ability to become the human being that will enjoy a life. So it's constantly being shaped. And anyway,
what are you saying?
I think love is overrated. That's what I think. I think love is overrated. I think that's what I'm thinking.
That's not what I heard in what you shared. What I heard in what you shared is that you can't be pinned down to one love language.
Okay. I like that. I like your definition better.
Because love changes, because we go through different iterations, ups and downs, phases of life and so forth. And what matters to you when you're a teenager and what matters to you when you're in your 20s or 30s or 40s. And your child is your child, right? So the way to show love to a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old is very different than the way that you show love to a 46-year-old. So I can see how love languages change.
I like to say I'm not pinned down to a love language. I was sharing with, I think, Liz at some point. I was saying I think the biggest problem with humanity is their expression of love. I think love is a problem, actually. That's what
I might not surprise you would say that. That's hilarious. But it's a problem that I am happy to spend the rest of my life solving.
I like that. I'm gonna take that on. Yes.
There you go. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Giovanni, for always putting the cherry on top, man. The cake is always sweeter when you have your grand finale. I love it. Remember, everybody, listen, since we're talking about love languages, love generously. Be a polyglot, be a multilingual love language expresser, like Giovanni says, right? Give of your time, give of your energy, give of your attention. That's quality time. That's right there, right? And you can buy somebody some gifts and things. That's another love language. Check that off too. Eat more plant-based. That's love for yourself. Sleep at least 7-8 hours. That's love for yourself. Move your tail feathers, shake it. Dance, go for a walk. I prefer dancing because I'm not going outside, but I will shake my tail feather. And of course, check your assumptions. Audit your assumptions. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Ask questions, make requests. That sometimes what opens up conversation in ways, in intimate and connected ways that you perhaps hadn't even imagined. So go out there, have a great rest of your week. We will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great